INC Masterpiece back here on 105.3 The Fan. Right now, brought to you by our North Texas Ford dealers. Ford, built for Texas, built for you. It is Dallas Cowboys COO Stephen Jones. Good morning, sir.
Good morning, guys.
We were hoping that you could give us some insight into, your evaluation of the play, of what happened to Andy Dalton and that hit that he took. What is your immediate thought? What is your thought in the aftermath, and any status update you have about him?
Well, obviously, Andy's in protocol, and he'll have to work through that. Of course, the lick that he took, the hit that he took when he was sliding is exactly what we don't want in our game, and the refs handled it accordingly and ejected the player, and probably what you would fully expect on a situation like that. So, it's never going to be perfect. This is a fast game with, as we know, levels are changing, and but at the same time, it's the hit that we give the quarterback protection. When he slides like that, we certainly want the defenders to go over the top of him, and that's why we spot the ball back where he began his slide, and so that he's not trying to keep a player from getting the line to gain. So anyway, it's very unfortunate. Obviously, Andy's a pro, and thinking about him, and he'll be in protocol, and we'll see how he progresses.
Were you, seeing as how obviously this is not a hit that anybody wants to see, and it was a really rough hit, were you surprised at all? Because we're always looking for some semblance of fire from the Cowboys in any level. Were you surprised that none of his teammates ran over to the defensive player or anything like that occurred?
Well, sometimes the players don't see it. They're blocking, they're doing their job, they're not seeing exactly what's going on, and certainly a tough situation. So, obviously, Coach McCarthy, had some things to say about that, and we'll just, we'll move forward as we go forward. I know Andy has tremendous amount of respect on this football team. Everybody admires him. Everybody admires about how he goes about his business. And certainly, there's I would never question anybody's lack of respect or what they think of Andy Dalton.
Early word is that there will be no suspensions planned. Does the NFL ever reach out to you guys in situations like this and ask y'all's thoughts on the matter? And if there is no suspension, what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm not going to get into commenting on at this point where they come down. Those are things that we review in the off season as a competition committee and work through, lots of tape, in terms of looking at the hits and what should be ejectable, what should be suspendable. The player's full body of work certainly goes into that. As I said, a lot of times things, they look, to 99.9% of the people egregious, but at the same time, we all know how fast this game is. We all know levels are changing. And, where that player's head is, where his head and neck area is, all those things are things that we'll take a look at, and certainly we adjust as we go. But certainly won't be involved in commenting where the league comes down, on this during the season.
Stephen, a lot of your players after the game said they didn't feel like they had the fight. They didn't feel like that they see it within themselves. I'm just wondering, from when you and Jerry are up there and y'all are looking at this team, do y'all see a team that already looks defeated mentally?
I don't. I think you see a team right now that's not playing with a lot of confidence. I see a team that's a good group of players. We've seen all these guys play, or a lot of the guys play well at times. As we know, we got right at 40% of our cap, unfortunately, on the hour. That's part of our game. Some years are better than others. But we are missing, four of our starting offensive linemen, and we knew we were in for a battle. I mean, Washington has 5 number ones on that front. They're one of the better fronts in the NFL, and we knew it was going to be difficult with our personnel in terms of our injuries and that type of situation. Obviously, it'll be great to get Zach Martin back this week. Not only does he provide, a great player, but he provides leadership and all the things that you want, sorting things out on that offensive line group. To some degree, you always look at the offensive line group like you would a basketball team. The more they play together, the more they know what each other's going to do, the better they get. And obviously, we've had some revolving doors going on in that offensive line group because of the injuries. But at the same time, everybody's faced with those type of situations at different times. At the end of the day, we all know these are, unprecedented times in terms of what we went through in the off season with the new staff and working with these players. Coach McCarthy's been through this before. When he stepped in up at Green Bay, I think he started off 1-4 and went as far, got it up to 4-8, and I think finished strong. So he's been through this before. I think after that he went on and made the playoffs 11 out of 12 times. I mean, this is going to be a work in progress, and you take, and certainly no excuse, but you take the injuries that, have come, especially on the offensive side of the ball, and we were aggressive in trying to change some things up on the defensive side, and, the players are still trying to get their hands around what we're trying to get accomplished on the defensive side in terms of changing a system, in times where you didn't get the full off season. So all these are things that, point to, at the end of the day, we've got to go to work. There's still a lot of football left this season. I do believe that we've got the right kind of guys, the right type of players on this football team that are going to continue to go to work every day. Certainly, this team's any team that's 2-5 is an easy target, especially one, that started the season with a lot of, positive thoughts in terms of what we could get accomplished. But, we just have to go to work every day. We've got to get better every day. We've got to turn the corner. We've got to gain some confidence as we move forward here. There's no silver bullet other than go to work. And I'm convinced I know we've got the right head guy for the job. And, it's a work in progress. As we said, I think he started 1-4 and on to 4-8, and before he finished 500 up at Green Bay. And I think he had his Brett Favre as his quarterback, and Rodgers was a guy by the name Aaron Rodgers was his backup that year. So, these things just take time, and I know our fans are frustrated. We certainly understand the criticism that's coming our way, that's going to come our way, that's come our way. We understand that, but we've got to go to work.
You're frustrated too, though, right? I know you can't fully express that, how you might be feeling to us. I certainly understand that, but you guys are really frustrated too, right?
I think anybody that's a competitor, when you're not winning, wants to figure out what the answer is. And when it's not right there at your fingertips and you don't have that silver bullet and you can't just fix it, then you want to be able to get your hands around it and go to work and get back on track. And that's exactly where I am. I know that's where Jerry is. I know that's where our staff is, where our players are. We've got good football players that, on this football team that want to get it right and feel good that ultimately we're going to, with this staff, they're going to continue to improve and get better. It's first year with this group. Jerry and I are big believers in sticking with the staff, and we just got to give them their opportunity to work with these guys and continue to implement what they're trying to get accomplished, and ultimately we're going to have a good football team.
So, Stephen, I know offensively you talked about the injuries. Defensively, you really haven't had much injury. And I know you talk about it's a new system. What if after 16 games this is what it is, the worst defense in Cowboys history? Do you feel like these guys would still be on the list of talented players?
Yeah, I'm not going to speculate. This is the classic case of one day at a time. And it's one practice at a time. It's one play at a time. We've got to go to work. It's no need to speculate about anything in terms of, where we're going to be at the end of the season, what our record's going to be, what that means. All those are things that we'll address when that time comes. Speculation doesn't do anybody any good at this time.
How much does this defense miss Byron Jones?
It's real easy to point to a lot of things. I think at the end of the day, what we have to do is focus on what we can control, not on who's not here, not on who may not be here in the future. We got to focus on the guys that are able to play this week. We get Zach Martin back this week. We get Chidobe Awuzie back this week. Looks like Joe Looney may have a chance to come back. And then we've got the guys who are going to work every day. And that's what we have to do as a team.
I did kind of bring up Joe and Cheeto and some of these guys, and obviously I want to talk about Dak with that too. But the protocols for COVID this year have kind of changed the way y'all have guys on the sideline, guys around practice facility, and everything. Has missing some of these leaders, specifically due to COVID and what y'all's protocols have been. Has that been something too that's missing in that locker room with some of that heart?
At the end of the day, I think, every team has their challenges with COVID. So it's, I wouldn't say we're going to point to COVID as the reason. Whatever it is, we're not a good football team right now. We're, we have a negative turnover margin by far. I think we're the biggest negative turnover margin in the league. We just have to go to work every day, one play at a time, one practice at a time, and go to work and not really worry about the things that we can't control. And we have the players that we have right now. We have players that we know we're not going to get back, and we've got to focus on the ones that can help us continue to get better as a football team and go out and get a win. We all know what that does for a team. You go out and you play well, and you do things the right way, like Washington did yesterday. They didn't turn the ball over. They played great defense, and they come away with a win after 5 straight losses. Certainly something I'm sure they needed. We've got to do the exact same thing. We've got to go to work every day. They have a new staff. We have a new staff. You just have to go to work and do the things that you can control with the people that you have and go out and execute, gain confidence, and good things will happen.
Outside of the injuries, which we've certainly seen, especially offensively, in the turnovers, which you've mentioned and we're definitely aware of, do you feel like the team has progressed otherwise? Because I know Jerry's mentioned it, you've mentioned it, with a new coaching staff, it can be tough. But sometimes I think people fear that the team has regressed this season instead of progressed. How do you see it?
Well, I just think you're going to take your lumps with a new staff when you're trying to learn. As we said, every team went through it, but we had unprecedented circumstances for new staffs to come in and get their hands around a team and really start to implement a new culture, implement new systems. All those things were a bigger challenge this year. And then, of course, as you say, when you think you're going to be lining up out there with all pros in the offensive line, and then you're looking at lining up with some college free agents and some guys like that. That's a challenge, no question. So I think we're going in the right direction. I think Coach McCarthy and his staff, it's just going to take time for them to implement what they do and the way they play. We put a lot of work into Coach McCarthy and what his track record was and how his teams played. I mean, they weren't one in, one out, one in, one out. They were in the playoffs, like I said, I think 10 out of 11 years. So, Mike brings consistency to the table, and it'll ultimately happen here. Completely understand, and we understand that there's going to be criticisms and questions until we start to put a product on the field that deserves to start to eliminate some of those question marks and criticisms.
Stephen, now we have Blake DiNucci Ben DiNucci, and we're working here with what Andy Dalton's going through. What is going to be the future here at quarterback for the rest of the season, or any other backup options? What's going to be the plan going into next week, and are y'all going to have to start trying some guys out? Or are we good?
Well, those are all things that we'll take a look at. Obviously, it wasn't our thought that we would be, playing with Ben DiNucci this year. That's usually not the way you draw it up. But certainly Ben's going to get a lot of work this week, and we'll see how Andy comes through in protocol. We all know what where Dak is, and that he's not going to be playing this year. So we brought Garrett Gilbert in, and we'll take a look at and go through our different injury reports over the next couple of days, and certainly take a look at what's out there and make decisions based on where we think we are.
Last thing we got for you, Steven, and I don't want this for the media or anybody else, but speaking directly to the fan base, you know they're frustrated. You've referenced it, and I appreciate that. Why would you tell fans to watch the next game or watch the rest of the season who are really frustrated right now?
I just think you're going to watch a team evolve over time. I think Coach McCarthy is certainly a coach that has proven that he can do it year in and year out. I think this is a team that is certainly going through a transition, certainly has some injury issues, but at the same time, I think we're going to watch some young guys step up, and you're going to get to see this team evolve and make plays, whether it's our receiving core, whether it's, getting Zach Martin back and seeing how we evolve on the offensive side of the ball, and at the same time, seeing some of these defensive guys as they get their hands around our scheme and what we're doing on defense, that we're going to play good football. So I do think it's going to be a real interesting team to watch. At the same time, I'm not sticking my head in the sand. I understand that there is going to be frustration with, how we're playing right now, what our record is. Those are all things that certainly deserve to be looked at hard, and certainly we deserve and understand why there's criticism and why some people are going to have question marks. But I do think this will evolve.
Appreciate the time and the answers very much, sir.
Thank you.